In reflecting on my emerging understanding of education and the philosophy that will guide me as a teacher, the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm," came to mind immediately. When I think back on my own childhood and post-secondary teachers, those who were the most memorable and impactful were those who threw themselves wholeheartedly into the material and worked every day and in every class to convince their students of how magical that field of study could be. Those classes were not only the ones from which I learned and retained the most content knowledge, but the ones by which I felt inspired. Regardless of the subject matter, I was actually interested in learning more, and perhaps more importantly, interested in learning more about anything. That engagement with learning and desire to be well informed has become a point of pride and something that has served me well in many contexts, not just academically. I know I am a more well-read, engaged, productive member of society because I learned from an early age the value of learning, education, and knowledge. I know how to equip myself to discuss a variety of topics, and not only is it helpful, but frankly it's really cool to understand and know about the things of greater depth and merit than simply what's happening in popular culture. Because of the immense impact those teachers had upon me, and the common thread that bound them together, I would be remiss as an educator if I didn't take from that in deriving my own educational pedagogy. However, direct classroom experience is not the only thing that has shaped my thinking in this regard. I have a significant and meaningful volunteer commitment that often affords me the opportunity to speak to, engage with, and facilitate workshop activities for large groups of college-age women. I've presented on a variety of topics and facilitated workshops with groups that were engaged, attentive, and wanting to learn. I have also worked with groups that were distant, disengaged, and simply didn't care. In every situation, however, I have approached those students the same way and with the same philosophy. They don't have to love me. They don't have to want to be my friend. But this will go much better for everyone if we can find a point of honest connection and work from there. Sometimes that is much easier said than done. It is often the students already successful and engaged with whom those connections are built most easily. It is the students who don't care what I have to say, don't want to be there, and who believe that they have more important things to be doing that require the most effort to build a connection. I am proud to say, however, that I have still generally had very good success with those groups, even though it has often taken more time. I try to ask a lot of questions and begin to understand those students' perspectives. I try to be as prepared as possible so I can answer any questions and actually have good answers. The classic, "because I said so," just doesn't fly. I try to offer multiple suggestions and make concessions where possible, so that when the time comes to facilitate those workshops and large group activities, I'm doing so with a mutually agreed upon set of ground rules and with a better understanding of what will work and how to appropriately reach those students. To me, every time I have the opportunity to work with one of these groups, it is a practice session in how I will someday run my own classroom. One of the absolute keys to successfully building those relationships is developing the delicate balance between being enthusiastic and being real. Enthusiasm that builds consensus, trust, and relationships comes from a genuine place and cannot be faked. It comes from a true involvement and investment with the subject matter, be it the ritual of Kappa Delta or the works of Shakespeare. You cannot truly be enthusiastic about something if you're not already immersed in it in some capacity. That true enthusiasm and passion provides legitimacy with an audience because they are able to feel comfortable that the person in front of them is actually reputable and informed. In the context of teaching, this is hugely important. It is often thought that teachers should be respected, revered, and listened to with rapt attention, simply because they have the title teacher. In many cases, that just does not happen. There are far too many teachers who do not know their content, can't or don't care to engage their students, and simply trudge from one day to the next. It's pretty hard to revere that. To me, it is doubly important to become an educator that is respected, revered, and listened to with rapt attention, because I've earned it through showing my students my passion for learning and effectively engaging them in the educational process. But even with all the enthusiasm in the world, if students do not perceive their teachers as real and relevant, that delicate balance can be disrupted. To me, being real and relevant takes on two distinct yet equally important forms. Firstly, being real involves practicality. It involves openness to new ideas, a willingness to compromise and try things in a different way, and it involves letting students get to know you as an actual person, and not just as the talking head at the front of the classroom. Many of those things are challenging to put into practice, and are frankly a little scary. New ideas mean that as a teacher, you have to review and revise your methods, and your concept of what's right and wrong. Some people believe that compromise with students somehow undermines their authority or grasp on classroom behavior. Finally, it is difficult but imperative to distinguish between letting students get to know you in a meaningful and accessible way and trying to be their friend. You're not their friend, you're their teacher. But that doesn't mean you can't get them engaged, excited, and drawn into learning through your own enthusiasm and accessibility. Being relevant is the second part of the real and relevant / enthusiasm tightrope. It is fantastic to be jazzed about a topic, and it's even better to also have the rapport with students that encourages them to engage with you and learn about that topic. But the greatest measure of whether those students will retain knowledge on that topic and truly take with them a sense of connection to learning hinges upon whether or not an educator has been able to make it relevant. I can get up in front of a high school English class with which I have built a wonderful relationship and explain to students why Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury is one of the great books of the 20th century, and certainly why I love it. But that doesn't do any good, and doesn't help to advance a generation of lifelong lovers of learning if I can't connect that book to their lives so it makes a lasting, indelible impression upon them. It is in being relevant that educators often need the most help, and an area that can be greatly aided by the use of 21st century tools. We live in an age of incredible technology, instant access, and phenomenal connectedness. Because that is the case, we have access to a plethora of implements that allow educators to make content come alive and be relevant to their students. We have so many more opportunities to connect with fellow educators, engage in thoughtful discussion of the challenges of our profession, and to collaborate on best practices and possible solutions than our predecessors. This alone should make us more competent, engaging educators, because we have so many colleagues out there backing us up. However, while technological access provides unprecedented opportunity for professional development, it is also a critical component in the classroom. New technologies within the last 10 years have fundamentally shifted the ways in which students communicate and learn. No longer is it sufficient for students to just know content. They must be able to do something with it. It's not just a requirement from the state. They themselves crave that type of interaction. They don't want to read and memorize plot lines and facts about a book. They want to make a movie showing their knowledge of those facts. They want to record sound bites of them reading passages. They want to create a Facebook account and post plot developments as status updates. Those pieces of technology are ubiquitous in their world and are certainly not going away anytime soon. Therefore, every opportunity that I as an educator have to use one of those tools in the process of teaching, I'm going to grab a hold. Not only does this mean that my students will be able to show me what they know about content in a way that is familiar and comfortable to them, but they will also be challenged to learn new technologies and useful skills that they can take with them and use in the future. While it is not easy, it is my firm belief that the best teachers, and the type of teacher that I want to be, are those who can successfully balance enthusiasm, relationships, and relevance in their classrooms. Good teachers are very passionate and enthusiastic about the subject matter they teach. Good teachers are caring, thoughtful, and develop close and open relationships with students. Good teachers are well-versed in the latest, greatest technology and are constantly thinking of creative ways to employ those tools in their classrooms. Great teachers combine all three because they are fully committed to the betterment of each student and are determined to leave their mark, however small, on education in general. It is my goal, hope, and desire to become a great teacher.